Hello.
Hi.
How you going, everyone? Welcome to In My World podcast, father and son podcast. We talk about 3 mental health discoveries people have had in the last 12 months. Got Josh Grainger in here, aka Ningaloo Records.
Leighton.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about your work in DJing in the Fremantle community.
I am Josh Grainger, local. Thanks, Lightning, mate.
Thanks. Yeah. Non-alcoholic beer, by the way. We'll just clarify that, Leighton.
Perfect for a Tuesday, but still keeping us refreshed and sharp. I'm a local DJ, music nerd, record collector, which has since become, stepped into a curation and activation role in terms of trying to bring good music to the people, trying to activate spaces and work with venues and council
and you're doing that well. So to the audience, I'm not blowing smoke up his ass right now, but this man is going on fire in Fremantle at the moment. Every Friday, Saturday, Sunday, there's some vinyls playing. I just went to one of his events the other week where we rode with about 100 people with 11 huge speakers. Yeah. And he was DJing on a bike for about 5 kilometers. Tell us about that.
I was, in fact, DJing on a bike. That's a collab with South Beach Aperitivo, your local Aperol style brand. Oh, we don't say that word. It's an aperitivo. it's a pinky orange alcoholic beverage. But yeah, I do stuff like that where brands might reach out to me and ask how we can come together on something, and that's a fun one we do.
So when did you get this music bug?
So it's a couple of years in the making. There's a guy in the UK who's sort of brought it to everyone's attention that you can DJ on a tricycle. So when the guys reached out to me, we went back and forth with a few ideas and finally reached on that. And we've done it 3 years now. And so I sort of kitted out the original bike. And sadly, it didn't get locked up very well, and the original bike got stolen.
Okay.
Right.
But the 2.0 bike has been fabricated, and it's thankfully an electric bike this time round. And so we ride around with wireless speakers and me on the decks and people following around, and we sort of do a soundscaped bike ride.
So
I'd love to see that.
It's not vinyl, is it?
No, it's not.
Okay, just double checking for everyone out there.
No, you've got to choose your battles with vinyl records. There's a lot that can go wrong. There's a lot of
sure.
So are vinyls your drug? Is that your drug of choice?
Yeah, they're my vice, I think. I probably spend more money on them than anything else. However you want to determine that.
Yeah.
But that is my passion, I guess. So it's my format that I relate to.
Format.
That's
a better word than drug.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's good.
Oh, but even in regards to DJing, people ask if it's you only play vinyl, or you look down on digital format, or it's not about that for me. It's about.
So what is it about for you?
It's tactile. It's it's something you can hold. It's there's a certain like archaeological process. I feel like you've got to go out and look for them and find them and know them and deal with them and carry them around. And
so have you been doing that mainly just in Freo, or have you?
I've always now I'm trying to stay in Fremantle as much as possible.
Yeah.
I used to do more in the city and up to Scarborough and different things. And
the electric bike not have enough range?
No. Look, the electric bike's fun, but I'm always happy to get off it by the end. It's, again, there's a fair bit that can go pear shaped.
Yeah, I bet.
With traffic and speed bumps and everything else, and 100 people, yahooing around you. It is a lot of fun, but it's slightly stressful. So we sort of cap it at an hour.
Yeah,
but
minimize the risk a bit.
Yes.
Yeah.
And for everyone that is lucky enough to experience one of your sets, it is something quite magical. And for me, over the last 3 years, I'd probably call myself a little bit of a fanboy. I love coming down and dancing, dancing at the front. And there's something different, I think, about coming to one of your gigs. I don't know whether it's the type of music you play or the rhythm or the attitude that you bring, but everyone's really positive, everyone's having a good time, everyone's dancing, and it's not your traditional DJ set to everyone listening. This is something else, and I don't know, for me, it's really helped me kind of get into myself, meet new people in a really positive way. Tell us about the kind of environment you create when you're DJing, because it
sure.
isn't normal, is it?
Look, it's really nice of you to say, and I appreciate that because that is something we aim for. And I say I work with a guy, Dan Dalton. I do a lot of events with him, and we make efforts, in every little thing and within the space, whether it's a venue or a pop-up event or something. And we kind of call them the one percenters, everything from cable management to communication with security to lighting. I think all these things are really important when you're coming to a space to attempt to be free and dance and, be friendly with people. And we put a lot of time and effort into welcoming people into a space. I think it aids and makes for better events where people are more comfortable. And we make a point of, we sort of play song for song, or, early on, like Dan will play a few in a row, and I make sure I leave the DJ booth and go out and talk with people and engage people rather than the traditional, I don't want to say traditional, but the current sort of state of DJing with people on stages. And, you're looking up at this person who's sort of disconnected, I think. And
what type of style of music would you say you generally play?
Yeah, it is.
Would you have a style?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I would say it's positive for sure, but I like eclectic and obscure, disco, funk, soul, jazz, reggae, house, techno. I think that comes with record collecting, actual vinyl collecting. You're less sort of genre bound. You're more about what you find.
I don't know what any of that means because I listen to 7:20 a.m.
Just nod your head.
Look, there's, I'm wearing a hat right now that says disco jazz.
Yeah, it does say disco jazz.
Yeah, there's a lot of genres and sub-genres and it can get really nitty-gritty and nerdy, and people get bound a little bit by that. I think I'm this kind of DJ and I play that, and I really believe in playing the room, playing what's in front of you, and and trying to
that's good,
create an atmosphere that I always say play the party that you'd want to go to.
That's good.
Yeah.
So let's do a bit of a deep dive with you, mate. We've got your nuggets here. I'll just read them out. Make time for the real. Second one is manage expectation, and the third one is above all else.
Yeah.
So we're going to jump into this, and we're going to have a little look around and see what we can find.
Show these.
So the first one, make time for the real. What's that one?
Yeah. So I wish I'd looked at my notes now, but so making time for the real. It was a lot about me trying to make time for real things. Because as Leighton said, I was doing a lot of events, a lot of trying to stay busy, but actually making time for real time with people, relationships, friendships, connections. I felt like because I was spending so much time in social settings that were technically a job for me.
Because you work full time as well.
I do, yeah. Which is I'm a tradesperson. It's a less of a social setting, but so all weekend I could be in a bar or something, or a venue or whatever else, and I'll see people and I'll have a quick chat with them. But essentially, I'm
transactional.
Yeah, and essentially, I'm looking at things that I just spoke about, like, oh, that cable might trip someone. I go, oh, that light's too bright. Oh, I need to find another song. So I'm just having these skimmed over sort of conversations, and I found myself like, oh, I've socialized this weekend. I've spent time with people, but not really.
Because I mean, everyone wants to know the DJ, right? And
yeah,
you've got, I mean, a lot of people that will come up to you, say hello, and want to say hi, and
which is great, and I encourage that
100%. But when you look past that for these real conversations, outside of that, how do you get that in your life?
Yeah, so which is doing less events actually. Was what I mean by making time for them. Not fully booking out my weekend, and actually taking time to do something else. Especially with my partner, and I don't think it counts to I've got an event come along.
No.
But to actually, actually go
come to work with me.
Yeah, it'll be fun. You can,
that'll
eat,
be awesome.
You can eat
Get a free drink.
Yeah, exactly. People are dancing. It'll be fun,
Hey, Freddie.
Yeah, hey, Freddie. So, but not just in my relationship. Obviously, we're together during the week when I'm not working, but also for friendships.
Yeah.
Obviously being quite driven in that direction, you find yourself always with people doing the same thing, and it was important to make time for other things that are, other things that I don't normally do, and step outside of that sort of box I find myself in pretty regularly.
So what do you like to do when you're not behind the...
Look for records. No. So again, I'm sort of, I get on a bit of a one-track mind. But no, I love to go to the beach. I love to get out and go for a run. I love to, spend time with friends, cook for friends, general socializing that doesn't, that you can be less distracted while doing.
Just be present.
Be present, exactly right. We did the Cape to Cape hike just last year.
Isn't it
late last year?
How did you find it?
Excellent, challenging.
Did you do it with a pack?
No, just myself and my partner.
Yeah.
And again, it was really like I'm not going to say I was the leading hand in the. I wasn't the main source of enthusiasm for it, but after a couple of years of talking about it, we did it, and it was excellent. I came back feeling like revitalized and connected to country and all these awesome things that
we did that as well. Leighton and I did it.
Not together.
No,
he wasn't fast enough for me.
Hey, can I tell you a quick story?
Yeah, please.
I brought all this hiking gear, and I was so excited to use it. And Leighton goes, "Hey, I'm going to do it, Dad. Do you mind if I borrow some of my stuff?" The first day, I unpacked my new tent. On the first, we arrived at Cave's house, and I opened the tent, and it was just full of water. It was fully like. It was just sopping wet, and I was so upset. So the caravan park the manager of the caravan park lent me his tent.
Really?
Yeah.
You never told me that.
Because you wrecked mine.
Well, I mean, it was probably lighter the next day, right? Once you got the water out of it. Every kilo.
Anyway, so just letting you know.
Okay. Well, thanks for telling me now. So one thing about, DJing and being at all these venues, obviously there's a lot of alcohol and sometimes drugs involved. How is it being around that environment almost every weekend?
Yeah, sure. It's something, it's so easy to fall into bad habits with. And again, came a time when, it's obviously can be quite, it can be quite nervous sometimes. All of a sudden you're up in front of, 400 people, 500 people, or, just all these people staring at you and, expecting you to make it fun now. We're ready or we're not ready. Make it fun, and so it's so easy to say, "Oh, quick, I'll have another drink," and and especially in hospitality, there's a big drinking culture, and there's a lot of shots. And things
I guess
that.
Everyone will be throwing you free drinks as well.
Yeah, totally. That's why I became a DJ. But yeah, you've got to make a point of separating that. Not every, especially if you're doing 2, 3, 4 gigs a weekend, not every gig needs to be a big blowout party or something. So I did go through a time where I had to prove to myself I can be the fun DJ without being drunk,
So you've said, make time for the real, and obviously you've put a lot of time into getting your, let's call it DJ career to where it is now. When it was getting really stressful and difficult for you, what was the lowest point? What did that look like for you?
I think when you're putting a lot of time and effort into something and not seeing any rewards from it, and you say to yourself, but I love it. It's my passion, and it's you're like, I've got to keep going forward, and it'll come, and at some point you're like, I don't know, it could be years, and then you're like, just give me a gig, please, anything,
Yeah.
And to any young DJs listening out there, just keep saying yes to things. Just keep saying yes and don't be disheartened. But yeah, for sure. And then you start getting gigs, and then they're not the gigs you want, and you feel like you're.
Yeah. So how do you deal with when you run an event and no one rocks up? Because I've done that before, and it's a pretty sad feeling.
Yeah, definitely.
You got any good stories around that events or events you've run when no one showed up?
I think I always manage them pretty realistically in that, you know, not to bite off more than you can chew.
Yeah.
You know, I always tell, again, young DJs and promoters, you're better off, you know, first of all, to get a gig. What I used to do and what I've told several people to do is go to a bar that no one goes to and just tell them you'll DJ for free. Show up and, you know, find a small space and say, let me come and DJ for free. And then if you like it, we'll talk from there. And I tell people, go to a small space, beg 20 of your friends to come. In this day and age, make some content, make it look like a fun party, you know, and, you know, just start small. You're better off. You know, everyone thinks I've got to do this big party and it's got to be a big thing and that's how I'll get more things. It's like, no, just start small and make it fun and natural. And if it's, you know, if it's going to be, then people will want to be around that, you know, rather than committing to this big space and, you know, flopping and falling on your face. At least if you're going to fall, it's in front of less people, right?
Yeah, 100%. No, I've been there before, certainly. And that brings us to our second mental health discovery, which is manage expectations. And what do you mean by that?
Yeah, again, a pretty smooth segue there because it's pretty on track with that. And yeah, manage your expectations in that what you think, where you're at, you know, and then also where other people think you're at. You know, it got to a point where, you know, as you said, some traction behind me and people were coming to me and saying, oh, you know, like, are you going to quit your job? When are you going to be a pro DJ? When are you touring? And what's the next big thing? And like trying to like, I don't know. And all of a sudden you start asking yourself these questions when, you know, I literally just said, start small, don't get ahead of yourself, you know, but when you've got people expecting things from you, it's like, oh, well, maybe I do need to aim bigger and do bigger things. And so just trying to manage.
So how was that for you? Was that hard or?
No, I think I've, you know, I would say that fortunately that I've kind of come into whatever sort of success I'm in at the moment a little bit later in my life, I think. You know, not later in the scheme of life, but maybe in the terms of a DJ career. Yep. You know, I know, young guys and girls out there are 21 and, you know, DJing all weekend, and you know, and I feel like I was already 30 odd, you know, when people started coming to my parties, and so I felt like I was already in a better position to process that and not get carried away with that.
Yeah, that's good. But
again, you know, I see this young crew like out there and, you know, chasing the dream, which is great, obviously. But again, you've got to manage your own expectations and, you know, expectations of, you know, not having a good event every now and then. And then, you know, people showing up and where is everyone? What's going on? And why wasn't that good? And it's just, you know, there are a lot of expectations that you have of yourself and other people have of you. So it's really important to separate those and just, you know, stay in your lane and just, okay, no, it's fine. It's fine to not, you know, not everything has to be a linear journey. You know, not everything has to be bigger and bigger and better and better. It's okay to coast, you know. Because
you get burnout sometimes as well, don't you?
100%. Yeah.
Have you had burnout before?
Again, I think I've definitely had some pretty lowly Mondays, you know, and sometimes it can be hard. You know, you do this rock star thing on the weekend and then you get back to your day job and it's like, it feels like somewhat medial sometimes. You're like, but again, it's just about, you know, which I'll talk about in my third thing, but just looking after yourself. And
so let's go into the third thing.
Yeah.
Above all else.
Yeah. Sleep and exercise and look after yourself.
So how do you do that when you're getting home at 2 a.m.?
Yeah, I mean, you know what your body needs.
Yeah.
As you know, as far as sleep, as far as exercise, as far as fruits and vegetables. Again, if you're in venues all weekend, it's like, oh great, I can eat and drink what I want, but it's not necessarily what you should be eating and drinking.
There's only so many steak sandwiches.
Exactly right.
Where do we get a good steak sandwich in Fremantle?
I'm a Percy Flynn's advocate.
Sponsored by Percy Flynn.
Yeah, shout out to Percy Flynn.
We're looking for a sponsor from Percy Flynn.
Yeah, that's it.
But I do aim to alternate my pub meals, you know.
Very, very
palmy steak
sophisticated
sandwich. No, I also try and target, sort of higher brow restaurants for the occasional gig,
Okay.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Mix up your food groups.
Yeah, get a few crudos in there, and but no, for real, like even so, for me, I draw a very distinct line on like Monday to Thursday and Friday to Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Because I know I'm probably going to be in 3 pubs, for up to 8 or 9 hours sometimes.
Oh, okay.
Sometimes I'll play 7 hours or 5 hours, and I'll be there an hour before, and then sometimes 2 hours afterwards, and packing up or pack down, or sometimes just arriving. Or
So it has so it has an environmental effect on your health just by
even if you're not, setting out to binge drink. If you're somewhere for 8 hours, even if you're having a beer an hour, it's still 8 beers, which is not a crazy amount, per hour, but obviously it adds up.
Yeah, it's not good.
Then, you'll say, oh yeah, I obviously need to eat, and I'll have something delicious and quick.
So has this lifestyle influenced you at all in a negative way?
So far, so good, touch wood. But again, I think I've been fortunate enough to start at an age where I'm already like cautious about that,
Have you got people on the side that keep you accountable?
Yeah, 100%.
Tell us about that.
Yeah, my partner's a hero. She's all over that. She's definitely counting my hours in the pub, and then from Monday to Friday we're looking after ourselves essentially, and not that you shouldn't, or you should only do it because you're trying to balance your bad habits, but that's how I've sort of managed it, having to draw a hard line, like I won't go for a beer from Monday to Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
A non-alcoholic one I can
these are good actually.
I can let pass, but because if you are having those bad habits, to sustain a hobby or a job or whatever, it's really important to find that balance in the week, I think.
And I think a few months ago, actually, we spoke earlier about you have Fridays off. Fridays is date night. Is that still a thing? Has that changed?
No. Look, occasionally, date night might shift to Saturday or Sunday, but I've definitely been keeping one night a weekend. Look, I will say occasionally we miss one, Sometimes I triple check the calendar. I'm like, where did that come from? Or I'll get a message, are you still on for this weekend? Oops, So occasionally, but no, I found it really important and vital, not just for relationships' sake, but also for your own well-being, to take time and again make time for the real. Which is spending time with loved ones and friends, and taking time to not be worrying about the vibe of a room, or again the cable management, or where is everyone, or
just chill out a bit.
Yeah, exactly. So I think it's a balance, right?
It is,
like everything in life, really.
Yeah. And speaking of balance,
here we go.
It's not really related to balance at all.
I was wondering how you're going to knit that one together.
Speaking of balance, I'm going to unbalance this page and open a mystery question in front of you.
From Jake.
Okay.
Read it out.
What does it say?
A mystery question from Jake. What is one thing about yourself you would change and one thing you would keep?
Whoa,
Jakey boy!
I would change this question,
and we got a deep dive on it.
Oh right, okay.
Let's go. What?
That's on the spot.
Yeah,
I would. Sometimes I can be quite competitive.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think that's coming back to my managing expectations. I have had to put things down at some point and say, it's okay.
What does competitiveness look like in the DJ world?
In the DJ world, just, I know every other DJ does it, but they go through each other's stories after the weekend, especially when you're sharing venues with other DJs, and you're like, oh, how did their event go? And, compared to mine, and, and Freo is, a small enough place that you are relying on similar people to come through. So you're like, is this Like, did they come to mind? Did they go that one?
Yeah.
Or, you know, and trying not to be weird about it, which is a weird thing because obviously people have things on, they can and they can't. You know, you can change your mind at the change of the breeze, and you're like, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. And so that's something I actually been working on in myself. Yeah, to be less concerned with other people's affairs and less competitive.
Thank you. No, thank you for sharing that. That's quite vulnerable. You know, has there been situations where that's been helpful for you as well?
I think so. I think I want the best, you know, for what I'm doing. And, you know, I obviously want the best for my events and patrons at my events and things like that. So I think I care a lot, you know, and I think I think that comes from my competitiveness maybe. Like I want it to be good. I want people to have a great time and walk away and say that was great, you know. And, but obviously it's got a you know, it's a double-sided. You know,
so would you really take it away?
I think like everything, it just, you know, anything you don't like about yourself, it just needs to be managed, or anything you're uncomfortable with within yourself. And it's something that, no, I don't think I would change it per se. I don't know if it's really good to attempt a change. You know?
What would you keep?
What would I keep? Maybe the same thing, you know. You know, caring.
Yeah.
I you know, I want to do good, you know, for other people and for myself and for a community. I care. I think.
Well, you've fundraised for us a few times, that's for sure.
Yeah. I think it's important to, you know, to give back and be involved, and you know, I think especially in something like what I'm doing, essentially I'm asking people's trust. You know, I need them to trust me in their time and their money and how they're going to spend their Saturday or Sunday or you know, their Friday night, whatever time it may be. So you need to care. You need to care what
someone once said to me, because I've done a lot of public speaking gigs, and they said, this old professor guy at the uni said, when you're preparing, he says, think about all the minutes of time that every person will come and listen to your event. So if you're speaking for half an hour or 20 minutes, add that up with all the 100 people, couple hundred people in the room, and he goes, that's how much time and care you have to put into that event.
Yeah, totally.
So that's not a waste of everybody's time. And I'm just like, because some people can wing it.
Yeah, sure.
But they don't understand the precious nature of people's time.
No, totally.
Because if you're working hard all week, you've only got one night to have a good time.
Sure.
And you're just like winging it.
Yeah, or if you haven't given it much thought, or if you're tired because you've taken on too much, you're obviously not gonna, you know, deliver on your speech or your set or whatever it may be. And you know, I think it's, you know, you are.
It's good.
You are looking after people's time, so you know they've chosen to spend time with you. So it's important to care, I think.
It's important. Right. Well, thank you so much for speaking to us today. I think it's going to be really nice for people who've been dancing at the front of your sets for a few years, including myself. And I really apprate you.
No, thanks for having me.
I'll have to come and have a look. So if you see a stiff guy up the back, it'll be me.
Again, mate, it's a very inclusive environment. Everyone's welcome.
Thank you.
Otherwise, come on the bike.
Yeah. I'm a cyclist.
There you go. It's a slow and steady one, but
that's very good.
Well, thank you so much, and thanks everyone for listening. And make sure you subscribe and follow our Spotify podcast.
Did you put the button up there?
Yeah, push the button and like it. So thank you so much.
Bye.
So welcome, guys.